Meaning of motivation is used to describe the experiment of desiring to act in particular ways in order to achieve certain ends or goals. The goal may be an object that is acted upon or ingested, or it may be the execution of a pattern of behavior like mating, or it may be a change in the stimulation of the animal, as in the escape from painful stimulus or other ways, where appears a drive directed towards a goal, the attainment of which results in reduction of drive or satiation or say curiosity. Example, if the animal loses water, the concentration of salts increase in the blood, a drive is then set up for food favors drinking. If a monkey is deprived of a chance to see what is going on in a laboratory, the behavior of pressing the lever becomes stronger. Therefore, the curiosity of monkey is a drive. In another example, if a rat is deprived of the chance to run for several days and it is then given access to a running wheel, it will run far more than an animal that was not deprived of the chance to exercise. Activity is a drive for rats. The strength of drive is also reduced by the performance of a consummatory piece of behavior: eating, drinking, hunting, running, mating, etc. Behavior motivation then is a drive that leads to goal directed behavior and satiation or satisfaction. Once the animal has begun to learn, the amount of motivation is directly affected by amount of the successful adaptation. Motivation always comes from primary stimulus such as food in the external environment and hunger inside the body. In man, specific motivational states are often associated with strong subjective feelings or emotions, but nothing can be said whether animals feel emotions in the same way. Since the emotions in animals cannot be measured, they are usually deduced how an animal is motivated by observing how it behaves. If one animal attacks the other, its behavior is aggressive motivation. If it eats, we describe it feeding motivation. If the animal exhibits sexual behavior, both sexes are started to sexually motivated, and so on. Changes in behavior in an unchanging environment are very often due to changes in the internal motivational state of an animal. A domestic hen presented with an egg may eat an egg in one occasion and sit on it on another occasion, even though the external conditions are unchanged. This is attributable to the fact that in the former occasion the hen was hungry and broody in the later. The terms hungry and broody are used for different motivational states. The characteristic changes in behavior that are due to motivation are that the underlying change in internal state is reversible, becoming increasingly hungry for want of food and reverting to non-hungry state when allowed to eat. The property of reversibility does not apply to one or combination of behavioral changes like maturation, injury, or learning becomes. Maturation is part of the process of growth and development. Permanent injury leads to the irreversible changes in behavior, and the internal changes brought about by learning process are permanent. Motivation can thus also be defined as the class of reversible internal process responsible for changes in behavior. Phases of motivated, goal oriented, or directed behavior. It is now clear that motivation leads to an animal orienting its behavior towards a specific goal. This can be achieved by animal in 3 phases or stages. Phase 1: searching for goal or appetitive behavior. Field observations on various animals would reveal behavioral activities like running, nosing around, sniffing, scratching the ground, hunting, etc. In all these cases, we may conclude that the animal was in search of something and make it satisfied. Animals may also be engaged in searching activity terminated by eating. The searching phase is often labeled as appetitive behavior, best described to relation to feeding, hence the name. But appetitive behavior is a traditionally used term applied to the active goal seeking and exploratory phase of behavior. Upon reaching the goal, appetitive behavior normally ceases. Example: a hungry rat shows an increased level of activity, searches for possible sources of food, and then it finds food, it eats it, and there is sufficient food for the rat to achieve satiation. Then there will be no further appetitive behavior until the rat is hungry again. During the appetitive behavior of behavior learning takes place, and animal will remember what ways of exploration lead to the food which did not. It is often impossible to identify the nature of appetitive behavior until you observe the actual goal. There are philosophical difficulties in separating appetitive and goal-seeking behavior from other forms of behavior. In blackbird, Nest building begins with the search of large twigs to form a foundation. Smaller twigs are collected from the sides. A nest cap is made from mud and is lined with fine grass and hair. This is an example. The search for each twig may be regarded as an appetitive behavior. Appetitive behavior is not always characterized by active exploratory behavior, hunting behavior or praying mantis, which hunts by ambush and rely on camouflage and stillness to get the prey. Only on the arrival of suitable prey within range, they attack with the rapid movement of the forelegs. Hunting, therefore, is a category of behavior that does not comply with the traditional definition of appetitive behavior. It may be said that the concept of appetitive behavior is undoubtedly a useful one, but it is not very rigorous. Animals reaching for food, water, or meat may behave very similarly, but in each case, the stimuli required to bring the search to an end is highly specific. Next, consummatory acts. The above mentioned goal seeking and exploratory phase, the appetitive behavior procedures, are more stereotyped consummatory behavior. In the example cited above, when the rat finds food, it eats it. Consummatory behavior in its traditional sense is exhibited. The nest building example of blackbird referred to in the first phase and the placement of twigs in the nest for finding a suitable twig both may be regarded as consummatory. More precisely, eating is consummatory act of feeding behavior, drinking for thirst, and so on. Phase 3 is the quiescence phase. After the accomplishment of consummatory act, there is a period of quiescence when the animal is no longer responsive to stimuli from the goal and shows no further appetitive behavior. This quiescence is related only to one type of behavior and the animal may be actively pursuing some other goal. Next, concept of drive. At one time of other, sleep, parental behavior, and exploratory behavior have all been described as specific drives. Experimental psychologists use the term drive in a given way when they use the term secondary or latent drives. It may be stretched to account for a number of different behavioral phenomena. There are chiefly three phenomena which will help defining drive. Fluctuations in responsiveness. The fluctuations in responsiveness are related to regular changes in animals' physiological state. Feeding and drinking behavior generally maintain the homeostatic system, which, when faces the shortage of water and appetitive behavior, the responsiveness to water increases until it has drunk. Thereafter, responsiveness decreases until water again falls short. In animals, when well-marked breeding season, there is a great fluctuation in sexual responsiveness too. The level of sex hormones in the bloodstream is well coincided with the animal's sex responsiveness. Males become more responsive, aggressive under the influence of sex hormones. However, the threshold for response becomes so lowered that consummatory acts can be evoked by minimal or absence of any external and internal stimuli. Lawrence called this as vacuum activities. Canaries, deprived of nest material, will perform the movements of weaving material into a non-existent nest. Similarly, starlings, which have not caught flies for some time, may go through the motions of catching and eating non-existent flies. Next, spontaneity of behavior. As soon as the animal encounters any stimulus, it starts behaving in a particular way quite spontaneously. A hungry dog is aroused from sleep by the arrival of food and the hungry pangs transmitted by nerves from its stomach. Next, drive in this sense is also used to describe how hungry animal will actually work harder to obtain food. Next, chain reaction or series of behavioral pattern grouping. Next, primary and secondary aspects of motivation. The motivational potential to perform various types of activities, sometimes called the primary aspect of motivation. The secondary aspect is the characteristic. The motivational potential to perform various types of activities, sometimes called primary aspect of motivation. The secondary aspect is the characteristic of behavior that the animal exhibits at a particular time. Primary motivational states are investigated in the animals kept in strict controlled regime, maintaining day length, temperature, etc. Suppose you have to investigate the effect of ambient temperature upon drinking in pigeons. The experiment Mentor has to maintain pigeons for 2 days without water at a particular temperature. Then, standard tests are done and it is seen how much of the pigeons drink. The experiments are repeated with different temperature maintenance. The standard tests are always conducted by providing standard drinking bowl, standard cage at a standard temperature. If differences are produced in the amount of water drunk during the test, there must be due to differences in maintenance of temperature, since it is the only factor allowed to vary for each experiment. To study the secondary aspects, the maintenance of conditions are held constant and the selected testing condition is varied. Primary motivational states are concerned with the relation between animals' physiological state and its behavior. Secondary motivational states are concerned with the more physiological aspects of motivation. Deprivation and motivation. The another important aspect of motivational study is to note whether or not deprived animals of opportunity to perform a particular activity causes a buildup of motivation and results in an increase in behavior when the deprivation is over. Buildup of aggressive motivation will increase. Buildup of sexual motivation is exemplified by the zebra finches experiment.